Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees here for today's
Hello.
reading session. Hare Krishna. So my voice is clear? Very good. Yes, I am not able to hear anyone. Okay, voice is clear. So let us start with our prayers. Om Agyan Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिधि नामिने जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So all devotees are ready with shloka recitation. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so please one by one recite the shlokas. First is Abhishek. Yes, Abhishek Prabhu.
Yes, so I will say 9.1.
Yeah, yes.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Itam tu te guhyatamam pravakshami anasuyave jnanam vijnanam sahitam yajnanatva mokshase subhat.
Very good. Translation.
Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying here to Arjuna that because he is sharing this most confidential knowledge with him, after knowing which he will be delivered from this material world of pain.
Oh, Jai. Very bold. Wonderful. So next we have, who is Redmi? Redmi, some Redmi Prabhu is there. Then Suraj Prabhu can recite the shloka.
No, Prabhu,
Not done?
I didn't.
Oh, why? Any reason?
Actually, I had that Japa retreats program, so.
Yeah. What you said, Suraj Prabhu?
Japa retreat program.
Oh, that was there last Sunday, no? What about the entire 1 week?
It not.
Okay, whatever is the reason. Next time you do it, again we will ask you 9.1, 9.2, 9.3. So one of these shlokas you need to decide next time. And plus what shlokas we give for the next week. So both shlokas you have to recite next time. Okay. So next devotee we have Teja Pro is joining first time I think. And Teja Pro is, you are in Vijayawada, Teja Pro? I am not able to hear you. Okay. Next is Vinay Prabhu. Vinay Prabhu, please recite the shloka.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
I'm audible, bro.
Yes, yes.
He's the Kushal Prabhu, and I want to recite 9.3, Prabhuji.
9.3. Kushal Prabhu is there with you only.
Aprapyama nivartante mrityu samsara vartasman. People in this devotional service cannot attend me. Oh, path of birth and death. Kushal Prabhu is in Redmi in this meeting.
Okay. Okay, Hari Bol. So, Sangameshwar Prabhu, could you memorize the shlokas?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, please recite.
9.1 श्री भगवान उवाच इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्यामि अनुसूयवे ज्ञानं विज्ञानसहितं यज्ञात्वा मोक्षये सुशुभात्.
Jai Hari Bol.
In this, Lord Krishna tells that to Arjuna that I am giving you this knowledge as you are never envious. This knowledge is very confidential, and it shall be used for liberation, liberating from this material existence.
Yeah.
This
Hari
is you
Bol.
can,
Yes, yes. Yes, very nice. Very good. So next we have, who is Redmi? Kushal Prabhu is there, Redmi. Have you recited the? Okay.
No, Prabhuji, I don't know anything actually. Shlokas and all.
Shlokas you don't know. Okay, okay. No problem.
Yeah, even not.
Okay, you didn't come to temple?
Actually, we went out. I came just now only home. So I'm attending through Zoom only.
Okay. Yeah. Room only, produce room. There also sound. Okay. Hare Krishna. Sorry, some internet issue was there, so that's why. Okay, Aditya Prabhu, could you memorize the shlokas?
Prabhuji, today only reading is there, no?
No, reading. This is also there. Shloka recitation.
Oh.
Okay, you are not done. No problem.
Yeah.
Also, I request everyone to be on time. Today we started quite late. Already it is 5:50. So I don't want to take beyond 6:30. But all of you, if you come on time, we can start on time and end on time. So that we can do. Okay. And so, okay, let us start with our chapter. Today's Bhagavad Gita chapter. So, 9th chapter we are going to begin today. And we have already covered the Gita Mahatmya for this last time itself, because the 8th chapter ended with a little, what we say, it was only few verses were there. So, we even covered the Gita Mahatmya, that is glories of chapter 9 in the last Sunday class itself. So today we are going to start with chapter 9. So chapter 9, what is the name of chapter 9 is most confidential knowledge. So now you may say that, oh, what is that most confidential knowledge? Already we are hearing this Bhagavad Gita knowledge from so long. So what is that particular knowledge and why it is said to be most confidential? So I will just take you in a brief from the first 8 chapters which we have till now covered. So basically the first chapter we have, so I want to ask you, all of you only, what is the first chapter is about? Because I am just explaining this because we want to know what is the most confidential knowledge. Because till now also we had so much knowledge. So what is the difference between that knowledge and this particular chapter? So can anyone tell what is the chapter 1 is about? Any particular theme covered in chapter 1?
It's about introduction, Prabhu, setting up some all that.
Prabhuji, can I
Akshay
speak?
Prabha.
Okay, you can raise your hand. Maybe Kushal Pro. Okay, Kushal Pro can tell.
Yeah, it was actually the starting of Mahabharat, where Arjun loses his whole confidence, and Lord Krishna teaches him that karma yoga and all
No,
in
first
first
chapter
chapter.
I'm asking about first chapter of Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita first chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was only it was like Arjuna loses his whole confidence. He will say he will
Yeah.
not fight war and all. Then
Yes.
Krishna will teach him about karma yoga and all.
Yeah.
Karma yoga.
Krishna start teaching after
Ah.
second chapter. So basically, first chapter is mainly preparation of war, and as you said, it is about Arjuna's refuses to fight.
Yeah.
So that was the main thing. And Krishna did not speak even a word in the first chapter because he was waiting for Arjuna to become submissive and to listen to his instructions. He was waiting for that particular incident. So that was first chapter all about. And then Krishna started actually speaking from the second chapter. So what was the second chapter and how when Krishna started speaking second chapter, so what he exactly started with? Because what knowledge of Bhagavad Gita we are referring to, that knowledge is given by Krishna. So what he exactly started with in the second chapter? Yes, who wants to tell? Can raise hand or you can unmute yourself and speak. Yes, Aditya.
I will tell Prabhuji.
Yes.
In second chapter, Krishna responds to Arjun by arguing that such weakness at this moment is unworthy for such a noble mind of Arjun. So Arjun, he insists that he cannot bear the thought of killing his kinsman, and then Krishna he warns about the danger of becoming too confused on.
No, but what was the knowledge given by Krishna to Arjuna?
He specifies about the soul.
Yeah, that is the real knowledge he gives. First thing
That
Krishna.
the soul is
Yeah. So first thing Krishna, when he starts speaking, first he chastises Arjuna a little bit, and then he says that, oh Arjuna, the knowledge of the body and soul, that knowledge he gives, that I am not this body, but I am a spirit soul. And you see the verse number 11 to 30, continuous verses are about this. We are not this body, but we are spirit soul. So that was the first knowledge given by Krishna to Arjuna. And what was the third chapter about? Yes, Abhishek Prabhu, would you like to tell? Third chapter.
Yes, Prabhuji. So third chapter was about which is better, tyag, renunciation, or work.
Yeah.
So Arjuna, after hearing from Lord Krishna, he wanted to tyag everything. He wanted to leave everything, even fight. So Lord Krishna taught him that work is sometimes better than leaving everything. and he also explained about different rungs of yoga ladder.
Correct. So that was the chapter 3. It is basically Karma Yoga, what Abhishek Pro told, that work and devotion. He said, okay, you want to work? No, he says, first he tells about the knowledge of body and soul. And then he said, okay, now you fight. And you don't just fight like a karmi person, you fight in connection with, for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So in that way, it becomes your karma. When you connect it with God, it becomes Karma Yoga. So that was chapter 3. And in the chapter 4, so the knowledge, Krishna gives the knowledge. Okay, you are now working. So with what knowledge you should work? So that knowledge is given in the chapter 4, transcendental knowledge. And then chapter 5, again he starts about Karma Yoga, but it is in more detail. Like the same chapter 3 and chapter 5, these are like parallel. So the same things are explained into more details in chapter 5. And it is a Nishkama Karma Yoga. Krishna says that you should work unmotivated and unattached to any results or any kinds of benefits for that. So that's how chapter 5 is Nishkama Karma Yoga. And then chapter 6, we see that okay, one may get a question, like Arjuna may get a question, is it that this is the only way to attain knowledge or perfection? So Krishna says, okay, Ashtanga Yoga also I will tell you. And at the end of Ashtanga Yoga says that I am only the greatest yogi. Yoginam api sarvesham. So in that way, Krishna says that. So this is how the Karma Yoga ends here. So chapter number 2 to chapter number 6, what knowledge Krishna shared with Arjuna regarding the body and soul and like that. So regarding that, this is a confidential knowledge because the ordinary people, they don't know about this. That they only know that okay, I'm not this body, but I'm a spirit. I'm only this body, and the aim of my life is to just enjoy and die. So that is what they know. But here the confidential knowledge is I'm not this body, but I'm a spirit soul. But this is not enough, because when you say I'm a soul, what is the positive part of that? What activities the soul has to do? So that is elaborated from the chapter 7 ahead. That is Bhakti Yoga, devotional service. So then chapter 7 starts with that. So chapter 7 and chapter 8, it tells about greatness of the Lord. So more details about Krishna was told that Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya, Balam Balavatam Chaham, and how I am the Prabhasmi Shashi Shurya Yaho. And like that, a lot of deeper knowledge is given. So that is called as more confidential knowledge. That is the chapter 7 and 8. And then chapter 7 and 8 is more confidential knowledge. And then chapter 9 and 10, which we are going to start today, that is chapter 9, it is most confidential because it tells Ananya Bhakti, that is pure devotional service. So chapter 7 and 8, it was about devotional service, but now pure devotional service. So chapter 2 to 6 is a confidential knowledge, then more confidential knowledge, and the most confidential knowledge. So as we see that first 6 chapters is like a cover page, we say, no? It's like covering Karma Yoga is there. Last 6 chapters are like Jnana Yoga, and the middle 6 chapters are the main essence of Bhagavad Gita, and that is Bhakti Yoga. And in that middle 6 also, chapter 9 is the most essential chapter. So today we are going to start with this chapter. So let us see. And in that also there are particular verses, especially the verse number 26 to 34. These are the highlight of the entire Bhagavad Gita in this particular chapter. So we are going to come to that. So today we will start with the 9th chapter, most confidential knowledge. But of course, you may say that what is that most confidential knowledge? Because we already know everything about chanting. We are doing reading. We are taking association. So in one sense, if you read Bhagavad Gita from starting, you get confidential knowledge even in the every chapter. You may get it in the first chapter, second chapter, because Prabhupada he didn't want it to anyone, because there will be some people they will just open Bhagavad Gita, read 1-2 chapters and just leave it, and then go. They don't read ahead. So Prabhupada wanted that even those people should get Bhakti Yoga. So that's why when Prabhupada writes in the purport, he has covered Bhakti Yoga points in all the chapters. So, but Krishna, when he is referring to Bhagavad Gita, he is telling one by one. He is telling Jnana, Karma Yoga and those things, then Ashtanga Yoga. And now this particular chapter, he is going to tell about the most confidential knowledge, that is this particular most confidential knowledge is going to come in the 9th chapter. So that's why so this according to Krishna this is coming, but all of us, and even in this verses, the verse number 1 to 3 which we are going to cover today, So the most confidential knowledge Prabhupada is telling in the purport itself. Krishna is just trying to tell that, okay, this knowledge I am going to tell, I am going to tell. Prabhupada in the purport only tells all the whatever knowledge he wants to cover, he is telling beforehand only. So but this is the mercy of the pure devotee, that he cannot even he just want to give Krishna consciousness, pure devotional service to everyone. He cannot wait. So like that. So now let us start. So today we are going to cover 3 verses, first 3 verses, but these are very big verses, so it will take half an hour. So we'll cover this 3 verses. Right. Okay, so please recite this verse after me. Sri Bhagwan Uvacha.
Sri Bhagavan Vacha.
Idam tu te guhyatamam.
Idam tu te guhyatam
guhyatamam.
Pravakshami anasuyave.
Pravakshami anasuyave.
Jnanam vijnanam sahitam.
Jnanam
Jnanam
Yagyatva mokshase shubhat.
Yajnatva mokshate subhat.
Yeah, idam tete guhyatamam. So most confidential knowledge means guhyatamam. So there is guhya, that means confidential. Guhyatara, that means more confidential. Guhyatama, that means most confidential. So here Krishna is telling to Arjuna that I am going to tell you this most confidential knowledge. Okay. Yes, Vinay Prabhu can read translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of the material existence."
Yeah, so here Krishna is telling why I am going to tell you this most confidential knowledge, because what is the quality of Arjuna? He is non-envious. So if a person, like I have given this example many times before also, like some person is actually working in a very big company, Google or Microsoft or like that. So then you ask him, you ask that, and that person tells, I am working in Microsoft. And then immediately another person says, oh, such proud person, he's telling I am working in Microsoft. How can you say, how can you be so proud of your post and position? So then is it pride? Is it pride? Because he is working in Microsoft. So he just told that, okay, I'm working in Microsoft. But another person who was envious to him, he thought that, oh, he's working in Microsoft. I'm not able to get that company. So because of that envious mentality, he saw that that person is proud. But actually he was not proud. He was just telling the reality. So in the same way, the person who is very envious, you can't tell the truth to him. He will be very much, he will think that you are just proud. So similarly, if some envious person is there, if Krishna tells that I am the supreme God, then he will say, oh, how can you say yourself God? How can you be so proud or arrogant? So that is what is the response will come from a non-envious person. So that's why Krishna says, because you are envious person, such response will come. So Krishna says that because you are non-envious, that's why I am telling this most confidential knowledge to you. So like that. And Purport Prabhupada elaborates about hearing and those things, especially. Yeah. So basically here Prabhupada is telling what is this knowledge. When Krishna says this knowledge, he is going to tell, Krishna is going to tell ahead in the further verses what is this knowledge, like this most confidential knowledge. What is that? Krishna will tell ahead, but Prabhupada, out of his compassion for the living entities, he is telling in this particular purport itself. So it comes here, yeah. Yes. Yes, please read this also.
Yes, Prabhuji. The words idam jnanam, this knowledge refer to a pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, obeying, maintaining friendship, and surrendering everything. By the practice of these 9 elements of devotional service, one is elevated to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, so this knowledge means it refers to pure devotional service. And what is pure devotional service? It is Navavida Bhakti. That is 9 different kinds of activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, So basically this Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So these are the 9 processes of devotional service. And by the practice of this, one is elevated to spiritual consciousness. So even in the chapter 7, actually chapter 7 and chapter 9, these are also parallel chapters, because the knowledge which was given in the chapter 7 is more elaborated in a detailed manner in the chapter 9. So that's how chapter 9 is there. And in chapter 7, if you see Tachnunu, that hearing, that word has come, that one should get the knowledge through hearing. And here also it is told about that. And especially in the 9 methods or processes of bhakti, the most essential or important thing is about hearing, that is Shravanam. This is the most important element of that. And any one of the process, if one gets perfection in that, that's how his life is also perfected, and he can make advancement in spiritual life. Okay, so one more. We have only 3 verses, so today we will see another devotee who can read the further part. Yes, this one. Yes, Teja Prabhu can read.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
The Sanskrit word Anasuyabe is a verse is also very significant. Generally, the commentators, even if they are highly scholarly, are all envious of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most erudite scholars write on Bhagavad Gita very inaccurately because they are envious of Krishna. Their commentaries are useless. The commentaries given by the devotee of the Lord are bona fide. No one can explain Bhagavad Gita or give perfect knowledge of Krishna if he is envious. One who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So such commentaries should be very carefully avoided. So one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pure and transcendental personality, these chapters will be very beneficial.
Yeah.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here, even the commentators, even they are highly scholarly, still they can be envious to Krishna. The most famous example of that is Hiranyakashipu. Actually, Hiranyakashipu was knowing the entire Vedas, and you will be surprised to know this because sometimes we even us to remember all the shlokas and everything, the philosophy, it becomes little tough sometimes. But Hiranyakashipu was knowing the entire philosophy of Krishna consciousness, and still he was envious to Krishna. So it is said that when Hiranyaksha, his brother, when he was killed by Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, so that time the wife of Hiranyaksha and all, they were actually crying and in lot of pain. So Hiranyakashipu that time told them all the philosophy that, oh, one should not lament for the loss of the body and you are a spirit soul, and those things he was teaching. But we see that he never actually himself, he never applied those teachings. So that's how he is one of the famous example of this kind of scholarly person who has the knowledge, but he is not knowledge is there, but he is not applying that knowledge in his own life. So that's how it is Hiranyakashipu. And also we have seen that Narad and Brahman story. If you know, it's that Brahman who was very scholarly. When he came to know that Krishna, Lord Vishnu in the Vaikuntha Loka, he is not able to. He's putting an elephant into the needle hole, so he could not put faith into that. And he says that, oh, you are just bluffing. He told to Narad Muni. So that's how his faith was not enough. So these are some of the examples. And even in modern scenario, there are many people who say, I know Bhagavad Gita, I know everything. And when you tell them who is Krishna, then they say, oh, I don't believe in Krishna. So that is the kind of scholars we have. But there is South Indian Brahman story, which we have discussed last time. Even though he couldn't pronounce the verses properly, still he was a great devotee of the Lord. So basically, one has to what lesson we learn is from here is that one has to hear from only from bona fide source and not from the envious people. And that's why Krishna chose Arjuna, who was non-envious, to speak Bhagavad Gita too. Okay, let us come to the second verse, which is also very important. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam
Rajavidya Rajaguhyam
Pavitram Idama Uttamam
Pavitram
idam
Idamuttamam
uttamam
Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam
Pratyakshavagam
pratyakshagamam
Dharmyam
Susukham Kartum Avyayam.
Susukam Kartam Avyayam.
sukam kartam avyayam.
Yes, Sangameshwar Prabhu, please read translation.
This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed.
Yeah, so here 8 characteristics of bhakti is given. So one is king of education, then secret of all secrets, then third one is purest direct perception of the self, yes. Perfection of religion, then everlasting, and it's joyfully performed. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So something is remaining. King of education, secrets. Yeah, this is that Uttamam, transcendental. I don't know in the translation. This knowledge is the king of the most secret. It is the purest knowledge, direct from self, perfection of religion, everlasting and joy. Okay, one is transcendental also. Maybe we can see this only. Knowledge is transcendental. That's how 8 characteristics of knowledge or bhakti we can say here it is mentioned. Yeah. Yes, one by one we will just take it. So basically, Rajavidya, that is king of education. So one may say, oh, how it is king of education, this particular knowledge. This knowledge is the king of education. Why? Because it is telling us the highest truth, highest, and here it is said also in the Bhagavad Gita itself. If you see purport, this chapter is called King of Education because, please read this side, this much only. Yes, Teja Bro.
The chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called the King of This chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called the King of Education because it is essence of all doctrines and philosophies explained before.
Yeah, so as I told, whatever knowledge I explained before, so the real essence of all that knowledge is this particular knowledge, because all doctrines and philosophies explained before, it is the essence of all that. So that's why it is called as King of Education. And even it is said that many philosophers also have actually told or confirmed that. So that is one thing. Yeah. Yes. So coming to the purport, many things are mentioned here. So I'm going to. It's a very big purport. If you see 5, 6, 7 pages are there. So basically, in this, if you see the King of Education, if you see modern education tells you about so many things. It tells like Srila Prabhupada when he went to the Western country, there is one MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So he went there and he was having one of the disciple of Prabhupada. He arranged a very big program there for all the students of MIT. And when he went there, he came to know that MIT has different kinds of departments. One department for the particular physics, for chemistry, for different kinds of, and so many departments they had. So then Prabhupada, when he started his speech, then the first statement he spoke is he said that, oh, your college, it has so many wonderful departments, this department, that department, that department. But where is the, so MIT, he says MIT, where is the department for the Almighty Lord? So where is the department for that? To know Almighty Lord and to know our relationship to Him. And the first thing Prabhupada started with there is that we are not this body, but we are spirit soul. So this was the first knowledge given to him. So basically the education, this is the basic knowledge which has to be told in the education. But now in modern education, we don't see that. So this is a king of education, the spiritual knowledge, but unfortunately it is not been included in our modern our education. Okay, so it is given also. See, politics, sociology, physics, chemistry, math, and astronomy, engineering. So many departments of knowledge all over the world, many universities. But unfortunately, where the science of spirit soul is instructed, that is not there. So Prabhupada says that. Also, please read this. This is also a very important thing. Yes, next devotee can read. Abhishek Prabhu can read.
Yes, Prabhuji. How can the soul, which is so active within this body, be inactive after being liberated from the body? It is always active. If it is eternal, then it is eternally active, and its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of spiritual knowledge. These activities of the spirit soul are therefore indicated here as constituting the king of all knowledge, the most confidential part of all knowledge.
Yeah, why it is said here? Because sometimes people think that, okay, there are some people who know that I am not this body, I am spirit soul, but they think that, okay, if I am not this body, so once this body dies, then soul gets liberated and he becomes impersonal, merges into the Brahma Jyoti. So that is also a wrong understanding. So that's why Prabhupada says that the nature of soul is to become active, remain active. So it remains always active, whether it is, when it gets liberated, he goes to the spiritual world. So these are the activities of the soul. So when you see the second chapter, it was told that, okay, you are not this body, you are spirit soul, but what are the activities of the spirit soul, that is being taught in this particular chapter. So that's why it is said king of education and most secret, because knowledge of soul was the secret. This is the most secret, so it is going in deeper. So that's all. And then it is said it is purest of the knowledge. Because why purest? Because it can free you, or it can cleanse you from all the, like pure means, like some detergent is there, you want to wash your clothes, so that has to be very pure. If it is, the more the detergent is pure, that much it can remove the dirt from your clothes. So similarly, this knowledge is such a knowledge that it can remove the dirt from our heart completely, and that's why it is called the purest. Like somebody, sometimes when a person may commit a sinful activity, and then he may think that, oh, what is this, I'm not getting any reaction, so let me do more sinful activities. There is no what we say loss in doing sinful activities, and it is so enjoyable, so let us do that. But once he starts doing those sinful activities, so the immediate reaction may not come, but it will come in a period of some time. Like sometimes you sow a seed into the earth, so into the land, so then the tree doesn't come in the 1 day or 2 days, like that. It will take time. First it comes slowly, it fructifies, and then small plant will come, it grows, and that's how the big tree will come, and then it will give fruits and flowers, and those fruits one can take. So those fruits are like reactions of one's sinful activities. So one has done sinful activity, the reaction or that fruit may not come immediately, it will come after some time, and when it comes, it is very bitter, and then he has to pay the price for what reaction sinful activity he has done. He has to pay the price for that. Many people ask that why do bad things happen to good people? So this is because of this thing. You might have done some wrong activity before, so now you are getting the reaction for that. So this process is such a wonderful that it is the purest, that it actually pavitram, it is very purest, it can remove those sinful reaction and one can be freed from that. So this is the third characteristics. Then Yes. King of education, secret of all secret, purest, then transcendental. That is Uttamam. How it is transcendental? Because it can actually, it is beyond all the things. Because it is not like, even actually devotees are engaged into some activities, but those activities are transcendental, we say, because they don't get reaction for that activities, because they are doing spiritual activities. So that's how this knowledge is also transcendental. And then direct perception of the self by realization. So, how many of you think that from the time you have started chanting Hare Krishna, there is some kind of change in your life? How many are able to experience that? Direct experience by perception. So, let us see here itself. Yeah, so many are raising hand. Aditya Pru, Teja Pru, Abhishek Pru. Others have not seen, I think. Okay, Vinay Pru. Okay. Okay, so basically we have seen it, and even when you start chanting, there is some kind of pleasure actually. You may not you may not get the complete pleasure what is expected to come immediately. It will come in the gradual process, but at the same time you experience some kind of pleasure which is transcendental, which cannot be compared to any of the material world. Because when we start chanting it is little troublesome, because mind is not under our control. It says, oh, why to chant, and those things come. But as soon as you complete chanting, you go into that, and then basically chanting without offenses, when you go into enter into that particular zone, then you see that later when you finish chanting you feel so satisfied, and the entire day goes so nicely. So this we can say direct experience we have done in our own life, and very quickly one gets purified, and that's how he goes back to God. And now I am going to tell you one very beautiful story of a person who, because when we say transcendental, direct, what we say, direct perception, direct experience, direct perception of the self. So for this, very beautiful story is there. So this is also mentioned in this purport only, but because I am not going through that, I will just explain it to you. So here it is said about, see, a practical example of this can be seen in the previous life of Narada, who in that life happened to be the son of a maid servant. And this particular story of Narada, how he became Narada, anyone knows how Narad Muni actually became Narada? He was not actually Narad Muni from the beginning. He was a small boy, the son of a maid servant. He was a very poor family, but then he became Narad Muni. He became transcendental. He can go anywhere, and so like that. So let us discuss that story. So I'm going to share with you a PPT which has Narad Muni's photos also will be there. That will help you to understand the story in a better way. Yes. So this is about Narad Muni. How Narad Muni became. Are you able to see the PPT?
No, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji.
No. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now.
Yes.
Yeah, now we are able to see.
Yes. So how Narad Muni became a great Krishna conscious devotee. So all of you can read one by one. I will not take the names. Okay, I will take the names, otherwise it will be difficult. It's a story of Narad Muni. You read one statement and then I will explain to that. Yes. Yes, Suraj Prabhu, please read this.
As an insignificant son of a maid servant.
Yes. So here actually why I was born, because this story comes in the particular Srimad Bhagavatam, and this story is told by Narad Muni himself to Vasudeva. So that's why I was born. So directly Narad Muni is only dwelling. I was born as an insignificant son of a maid servant. Yes. Yes, Rajendra Prabhu.
Once during Catermass time, the 4 months of the rainy season, some exalted Vaishnavas came to the Brahmana school.
Yeah, so actually this Narad Muni was an insignificant son of this maid servant, and his father was not there. Father already left, and he was very poor, from a very poor family. So once during Chaturmas generally the 4 months of rainy seasons, some exalted Vaishnavas came to Brahmana school. So they wanted to halt at some place. So they came across this particular home, and they wanted to stay there for some time. Yes, so these are very exalted devotees who came there. These are called as Bhakti Vedantas. They were very much learned in the scriptures and having a lot of knowledge. They were the pure devotees of the Lord. Yes, Kushal Prabhu. Okay, Sangameshwar Prabhu.
Because she was attending to their needs, I also got the opportunity to render personal service unto them. They blessed me with their causeless mercy.
Yeah, so the mother was actually given she was actually serving, cooking for them, serving them everything. But with that, this small boy, he also started doing service. He started washing their plates and those things. He started serving them. He started hearing from them. Because when these great personalities, they were coming together and discuss Krishna Katha. So this Narad Muni was also coming, and he was also, the small boy, he was also attending and listening to their conversations. Yes, Abhishek Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Once, with their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and all of my sins were eradicated.
Yeah, so when he took once, because he was always washing plates and all, so once he asked that, can I take the remnants? You are such a great souls. So they said okay, because he was a small boy, so they allowed him. And as soon as he took the remnants, all his sinful reactions got eradicated. So that's the thing. Yes, Teja Prabhu.
In their association, I heard Krishna's attractive pastime. My taste for such topics increased at every step.
Yeah, so in their association, I heard Krishna's attractive pastimes. So he heard from them, he took their remnants, he took their full association, and that's how his taste increased at every step. Yes, Vinay Prabhu.
I realized myself to be different from the gross and subtle bodies. I loved those pure devotees greatly, and with very gentle behavior, I strictly followed their instructions.
Yeah, so he started following their instructions also. It's not just externally he was taking some things, the remnants and all, but he was actually started following them, and there was a lot of transformation in his own life. Yes, Aditya Prabhu.
When they were about to depart, they instructed me in Bhakti Yoga, the art of using everything in the service of the Lord to ultimately return back home, back to Godhead.
Yeah, so when they were about to depart, so they instructed him in Bhakti Yoga. That is what we are reading now, glories of Bhakti Yoga. So that's why this story comes here, because Narad, this small boy, he actually got Bhakti Yoga instructions and then he utilized it, and that's how ultimately return home back to Godhead. For that it was given. So let us see what happened next. Yes, Suraj Prabhu.
Even though my mother had passed away and I became alone, I immediately left home and started for the north.
Yeah, so what happened is after Bhaktivedanta's left, he was a small boy and his mother passed away. So sometimes it becomes very painful for one who is, if some mother or some very dear relative passes away. But here, when mother passed away, actually Narad Muni, even though he was small boy, he understood it to be mercy of Krishna, and he immediately left home. He thought that Krishna wants me to become more uh, get more focused into spiritual life, and he started for the north to practice his spiritual life ahead. Yes, Rajendra Prabhu.
Since I had become very thirsty, I fatigued I drank the water and bathed to refresh myself.
Yeah, so this thing happened. He drank the water and bathed to refresh himself. Yes, Abhishek. Bro?
Then I sat down in the shade of a great banyan tree and began meditating upon Supreme Soul within, as I had learned from my spiritual masters.
Yeah, I started meditating after that. And then, yes, Sangameshwar. Bro?
As soon as I concentrated my mind upon the lotus feet of the Lord, it became transformed due to the transcendental love. As tears fell from my eyes, Lord Krishna appeared on the lotus of my heart. All my senses became spiritually enlivened, and very soon Lord vanished from my sight.
Yeah, so Lord actually he is able to see the Lord, but then Lord again vanishes. He said some sudden they had conversation also invisibly, and and he says that now again you will not be able to see me because I want you to increase the attraction. And then he says that as a special favor I have shown myself to you just to increase your desire to come to me. By my mercy, you will always remember me and will continue making advancement in Krishna consciousness. So that's how he got the benediction. And thus fully absorbed in thinking of Lord Krishna, in due course of time I was freed from all material attachment I met with death. And that's how after when he dies, then instantaneously I received a transcendental form as Narada. Since then, by the grace of Lord Vishnu, I have been traveling everywhere, both in spiritual and material world, singing on Vina glories of Lord. Narada Muni Bhajai Vina Radhika Ramana Nave. So like that, you always see Narad Muni with the Vina. He always sings on Vina glories of the Lord. Yeah, and you see the range of Narad Muni's outreach. Here is a Dhruva Maharaj. Here are the Nalkuver and Manigriv. He delivered all these people. These are Vasudev. This person is Prachina Barishat. He was a very great king. Here is a Chitraketu Maharaj who was having a son and who died and he was in lamentation. So even he was delivered by Narad Muni. And here is a Brahma, Narada Samvad was there. So even so that thing is also there. So this is the range of our Narad Muni's outreach. He has delivered the parampara, line of parampara of so many people, one after another. Okay. Okay, so this was about Narad Muni's thing. Yes. Little. Yeah, and then perfection of religion because Narad Muni performed such thing and he got the boy from boy to Narad Muni. So it is said that there are so many religions, but the perfection of religion is this particular knowledge of devotional service because this elevates one in spiritual life. And then everlasting, it is everlasting and joyful. That means it is very blissful. Like, have you seen anybody getting up at 4:30 in the morning and dancing very ecstatically in happiness? So generally people are asleep for till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But devotees we see in 4:30 they start dancing. So the process seems to be so happy. And also there is one devotee, just short pastime about him. He is a devotee. Actually, he was that time he was not devotee. Maybe we can say he was a boy. So he was in one of the place in his town. He was there, and another devotee had put a bookstall there of Bhagavad Gita and all, and he was smiling very beautifully. So this boy was going there. He got so attracted to this devotee. He said that, oh, this person, there is some smile on his face, and it is different. I have never seen such any person being so happy. So then immediately he went to that devotee. He took Bhagavad Gita and purchased and started reading it. And later on, this boy became Shyamananda Prabhu. He is our in ISKCON Radha Gopinath Mandir Chowpatty. He is the one of the president there. So he has become that just by seeing a smile on the face of devotee, he became devotee. So that's how it shows that devotees are very blissful and joyful. So that's how devotional service gives this kind of benefits. So that's why it is said here these are 8 characteristics of devotional service. where one can actually get by this particular knowledge of devotional service and bhakti yoga. Yes, so this very big purport. I just took few points of that and elaborated. So last verse for today. Let us recite this. Ashtadhana Purusha
Ashraddhana Purusha
Dharmasyasya Parantapa
Dharmasyasya Parantapa
Aprapya Mam Nivartante
Aprapya Mam Nivartante
Mrityu Samsar Vartmani.
Mrityu Samsara Vartmani.
Yes, someone can read translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Those who are not faithful in devotional service cannot attain me. O conqueror of enemies, therefore they return to the path of birth and death in the material world.
Yeah, so basically faithfulness, those who are not faithful. So first verse tells about knowledge. I want to tell you knowledge because you are non-envious. The second verse tells about 8 characteristics of this particular knowledge and bhakti yoga. And then third is telling about those who are faithless, they cannot understand. So there are 2 qualifications we have seen. One is non-envious and one is faith. So one should have faith and one should be non-envious. Then one can actually attain the Supreme Lord and understand this knowledge of bhakti yoga. And importance of knowledge is being given here for progress of Krishna consciousness. यथातरोर्मूलनिषेचनेन तृप्यन्ति तत्स्कन्दभुजोपशाखां प्राणोपहाराश्च यथेन्द्रियाणां तथैव सर्वाहारमच्युतेच्छा. It is said here that by giving water to the root of a tree, one satisfied branches, twigs, and leaves. Similarly, by engaging in transcendental service of the Lord, one can automatically satisfy all demigods and all living entities. So that is the glory of performing this particular bhakti yoga. So just you engage into the devotional service and everybody is satisfied. So, and the faith process is given. Yeah, so it is only that faith which can actually one makes one. And here actually 3 types of devotees are mentioned here. Development of faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. And there are 3 types of devotees. Basically, it is telling about the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. So Kanishta means he is on the 3rd class platform where he comes to devotional service, but he doesn't have full faith on Lord or on his devotees also. So some knowledge is there by which he has come, but he doesn't have the full knowledge, and that's why he doesn't advance. But then when one comes to the 2nd class devotee, means he is in Madhyam Adhikari level. He has knowledge and his faith is not totally firm, but at least he's following. He knows that this is the process, this is the right process, and I want to follow that. So most of us comes in this category. So he is better than the 3rd class person. And 1st class means he has full knowledge and he has firm faith. He will never fall down from his position. So once he has taken to that, he will never go away. Whereas 3rd class devotee, he may come to Krishna consciousness because of some material gain or thinking that I will get this benefit or that benefit. But if he when his things are like, sometimes a boy may come to Krishna consciousness thinking that if I come to this particular movement, my English will improve, I will get good marks, there are many good people who can guide me, and just I will follow them and I can get my very good score in my engineering and all. So he just thinks like that, and once he gets the score, he leaves Krishna consciousness, he goes back to the material world again, starting working for that thing materially. So then comes in the 3rd category. So 3rd category person, he has a lot of chances that he can anytime fall down. So that's why one should increase our knowledge and faith and come on the 2nd category. 2nd category is a quite safe position, and eventually by Krishna's mercy one will be taken to the 1st category, that is Uttamadhikari. So but that will come gradually. So today we have covered these 3 verses, and we have seen the most confidential knowledge also, because Prabhupada already mentioned about Navavidha Bhakti and the glories of this. And also we have seen the Narad Muni's life, which actually tells about this glories and most confidential knowledge, how Lord performed it. In the ahead verses to come, Krishna tells about this most confidential knowledge in terms of how to worship him, how to chant his holy names, and how to offer everything what we do in our life or in our day. Everything should be offered to him as an as a, what we say, everything should be offered for his pleasure. We should do it. So thank you very much for your patiently hearing. So we'll end our today's discussion here, and next Sunday we will start with the fourth shloka of this chapter, chapter 9, and we will have some verses for memorization also. So we will post it in our group. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hari Bol.
Dandot Pranam.
Dandat Pranam.